What's up, everybody? It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. We're going to be with you for a little while talking Texas football, the portal. We'll be playing Portal Combat music here in a second. Kind of want to go with the mariachi band, if I'm being completely honest. But hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're asking yourself, what is he talking about with the mariachi band? Stay tuned. Yeah. Jump into the Specs chat away. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 24 hours or 23 hours and change since Chad and I last did a show. So we got a lot of stuff to update on. Cam Coleman, commitments, portal, Bo Barnes is leaving. Like, there's a lot of stuff. But Chad, by God.
Hey, give me those hands again. I like the spinning hands. Let's make that part of it. Go.
It wasn't like a spin. It was like that.
Round one, fight! Get over here!
It's a monster day. It's a monster day, Catch. I think in the portal stuff, man. We're into today's the 7th, so 1/3 of the portal is done. 1/3 of the portal's finished. We are into the second third of the portal. And I really think today, if Texas is going to get something going, I think today's a huge day.
Let's do like the real quick updates out of the way.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a setting the page, like what is one of the real questions I always want to ask head football coaches before the season starts is what's the bar? What represents success for the season? So as we watch the season, we know it was a good season. How is it a good season? They told us this is what the goals were. And if you don't hit the goals, then you don't get to call it a good season, kind of a thing, right? So I feel like we're at a point where there needs to be a conversation about, hey, let's establish what the hell needs to be the objective and where Texas is and kind of where it goes. That being said, Cam Coleman goes to Lubbock today, Chad.
Ooh, big day.
And
you know what you want to see out of that? Nothing. Not one thing. Because you're a card player and you've seen rounders. Tech's going to splash the pot if they can. They're going to make this the loudest day.
Can I tell you something?
If they can.
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
I think Texas will outspend Texas Tech. I think if Texas Tech says $20 million, I think Texas, in part, no one has told me this. I can't say exactly what I've been told, but I have had reasons to believe what it is that I'm about to say. I think the frustration of missing out. You know, they feel it. They know that everybody's watching this. They know that there are questions. They know that they have had donors who have said, look, show me that the last offseason wasn't a complete disaster, that you know what you're doing. They've said, we know what we're doing. And now we're at this moment where I think there are question marks. I think they feel people asking, do they really know what they're doing? The Cam Coleman thing is such a big deal because the moment you get Cam Coleman, if you can get him, the entire world will look at you like you're a winner. They will all, when we talk about in the rest of the offseason, who won the offseason, who won the portal, you won't be able to have a conversation without somebody saying Texas got the best player. And, oh, by the way, that guy will probably be a first-round draft pick. That guy will be playing with Arch Manning. It will be part of the storyline narrative for the entire season. But if they don't, it continues this trend of like Texas has not been getting their guys.
Yeah. Hey, so, Catch. I'm sorry to interrupt. You want to double check
breaking news?
Yeah, you want to double check this? Somebody threw in the chat, and a couple people have that Christian Clark just hit the portal. There's obviously been talk that it could happen. So
I mean, that Anwar did a story last night where he said, watch out for Bo Barnes, watch out for Christian Clark, watch out for Kobe Black. In less than 12 hours, 2 of the 3 have announced that they're going to the portal.
Yeah, before we started, the Bo Barnes came out that he was headed to the portal. So this may be number 2. And then, like you said, if you checked out if you were been keeping up on orangebloods.com, yeah, Kobe Black's the other name to pay attention to. Just wanted to throw that out. I'm sorry to interrupt.
There's just a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, there really is. And that's another just real quick catch on Clark. I have always thought that you can get a little overcooked on a bowl performance. You can think too much of the bowl performance, but now there's a new version of it. It's that a bowl performance that I think leads to the next season and says, oh man, that guy's got reps. He's got an opportunity. Nowadays, it could also mean that he wanted to put something out there and then the discussions are had and he's gone. And that's the part I'm trying to get almost caught up with in a way, because I never would have thought Christian Clark would look like that in a bowl game and then end up in the portal. It just didn't compute to me.
You give me just a second.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you guys for jumping in the chat. By the way, before we do anything else and before we get some super chats, I do want to echo Chris Bennett's comment. Everybody is sending their best to Jordan Shipley, the Longhorn great, maybe the best Texas receiver that ever lived. He's going through a crazy situation after an accident on his property. And, yeah, we send nothing but the best to Jordan Shipley and his family. He's in a fight right now. And we certainly hope that, that he gets everything he needs right now. Just an incredibly sad story to hear yesterday. And we certainly hope he's going to be all right. Chris Bennett, appreciate you as always for throwing in something like that. And we do have, if you want to throw in some super chats, obviously Specs bringing you the chat. You see the Specs Rabbit each and every day. Get stocked up at Specs. Get that app on your phone if you want. Get ready for the big football weekend, Thursday with the semifinal, all the way through Monday with that last wild card game. If you're a Texans fan, you know where that one is. So all that's coming up. Specs brings us the chat each and every day. Catch, let me throw a super chat in here while you're getting things taken care of. $9.99 from Big Bird. In my estimation, this portal season so far has been an abject failure, losing the Michigan O-line, not getting a better running back than potentially Brown. That'd be Raleek Brown, who we'll talk about. Coleman is a maybe at best. I'm disgusted. Eesh.
I mean, look, I think there's a really important piece of your phrase, Big Bird, because I don't think you're wrong, but like so far is a really important 2 words.
Yeah.
In that, because they could just as easily be an abject success, and that could also change in the future. Like there's a finish line, there's a race, and it's like watching the Kentucky Derby and trying to decide after a quarter of the race exactly how the results are going to go. I know the Texas coaches would say, trust us. Let's see how this thing looks in a week. I mean, on some level, it's not even about trust. All that matters is what this looks like at the end. Cam Coleman hasn't made a decision. The portal hasn't closed. There are a lot of lines in the water where, last night they picked up, I think, a starting cornerback. That won't get a lot of discussion, but I think it was a really big and important need. And I've been talking about that need for about 6 weeks now. And a lot of people, I think, have disagreed with me about the need for a starting corner out of this class and the urgency. But to get Bo Masco, a guy that I think is the best corner in this class so far, I think it's a really good thing. But like, it hasn't been good enough. They have not accomplished the goals that they need to accomplish. If we get to February 1st and they still haven't done that, then it will be an abject failure. If we get to January 17th and this thing looks a lot different, then then so far is going to feel like a wasted $9.99 super chat.
Yeah. Well, to me, and thank you, Big Bird, for the super chat, obviously. To me, Catch, the reason I talk about today being so big, today's the day Raleek Brown is on campus in Austin. To me, here's the question for Texas fans. What if by the end of this day, Sprague, what's his first name? Andrew Sprague, the lineman from Michigan. Remember, there's a lineman from Michigan that's staying in Michigan, but there's one that's going to announce today, and he has looked at Texas. If Sprague says Texas, if Raleek Brown picks Texas, and I think there's also a Wisconsin offensive lineman that they are taking a look at. What if you got all 3 of them by the end of today, and there was no serious word out of Lubbock that Cam Coleman was leaning Red Raiders? if all of that happens, Catch, I would think it's at least some positive energy getting started. I agree with you. Hadn't been good enough. It should have been building more, by now. But that would be a heck of a Wednesday. Like if they could end it that way, 2 offensive linemen, a running back, and you're still in on Coleman, like that would feel a lot different, right?
Hey, where are people saying that Christian Clark? I just don't see it. Like I'm trying to get it confirmed, but I don't see it on socials or anything. Can somebody in the chat just put it?
Good.
I don't care. Like if a competitor broke it or something, I'm just curious who reported it. It's completely expected.
Yeah.
But I don't know if completely expected. It's mostly expected. So it's not a surprise. But I haven't seen it on social media yet. So just looking for that.
There you go.
And someone said it was fake news. So guys, why are we doing that to us in the show? Thanks, fellas.
All right.
So Chad, thank you for that. I blame you.
Yes. No, again, I wanted to make you aware of the idea that somebody in the chat said it so we could double check it. Now we've double checked it. Apparently that has not happened yet. Hopefully Christian Clark and Texas can figure out a way for Christian Clark to be at Texas. That would be awesome.
We can move on.
Yeah.
I would say, again, full transparency, we can move back onto the show. Wow, that really did sidetrack the entire show for 5 minutes.
Yes. And by the way, you were talking about Cam Coleman when it happened. If you'd like to go back there, that was my
I will just say it is something that we reported last night that everybody needs to have their head on a swivel about. Bo Barnes happens today. That was in the report. Christian Clark at the front of the line in that report. And there is a chance that even by the end of the show that could actually be a real story.
Yeah.
So heads up. That's why my reaction was what it was. I would not have been surprised at all had that been I wasn't surprised about Bo Barnes. So back to Cam Coleman. He just showed up in Lubbock, apparently, for his visit. Pete Dacos from On3 reporting the very latest. He's in Lubbock. I don't remember where we were. Oh, I was just saying Texas is very motivated to get Cam. Mm-hmm. So if it comes down to like he wants the best deal, I get the sense that Texas is okay with giving him the best deal. They want to win this.
And do you buy the idea that I saw some report on him that said money would not be a big consideration or the only consideration? Do you think by the end of it, he goes with your idea of check with all these teams and get a final, this is what they'll go with number? You think he's going to give everybody a shot?
I don't know. Okay. They've handled this pretty calmly behind the scenes, not giving a lot of indications about I think where this thing's going. I think everybody involved thinks they have a chance and feels confident. This isn't the situation with Cam Coleman, but this is the situation that Texas has had that bleeds into Cam Coleman. Texas so far really has not been able to get the most important guys, and there haven't been a ton of them yet. But certainly at the running back position, when you think about Jaden Ball, when you think about Isaac Brown, puts himself in the portal, gets held hostage, comes out of it with Stockholm syndrome and decides, I was wrong. I'm going back. And the offensive lineman from Michigan yesterday, the guy, what Texas did going into the portal was what we saw them do last spring. I think they had some very good advanced scouting. I think Brandon Harris and his team probably did we don't know the complete inner workings. So I will give him credit. And if whoever I'm leaving out, and if it's just Steve Sarkisian or whomever, whatever, right? But somebody was manning the phones, working the deals, talking to representatives of people like Jaden Ball, talking to these 2 Michigan offensive linemen, one of whom could commit to either go back to Michigan or flip to Texas. Andrew Sprague over the course of who knows? I expect that to happen today. But Texas has gone into this thing worried less about who is entering the portal and more about trying to get the guys that they want to enter the portal to go to Texas. Now, we didn't hear a lot of names last week. We were even told right leading up to the to the weekend, there might be between 13 and 15 guys on campus. But we only had like 6 of the names at the time. A big part of that was Texas didn't want it to get out that they had these guys on campus. They were concerned that just even hearing these guys associated with Texas would lead to more schools showing interest. I think what they were really concerned about was they felt like on the eve of the portal, they were exactly where they wanted to be. And I think where they were concerned about was we can't control what happens next. We can't control if agents or reps or coaches or parents are telling us one thing. And so we think a situation is one way, and then they're telling somebody else the other. Where is the truth? They can't control any of that. But based on everything that they thought they knew, they thought, we've got our guys. These are the guys that make us better. They're our first targets. They seem to be on board. They're telling us that they're on board. We've seen guys who've gone so far as to put themselves into the portal, and Texas is the only school they're looking at.
Yep.
And what Texas has found very difficult, impossible, unless the kid from Michigan, the tackle, decides to take the Texas offer and the project, and that it's what he wants to do. One of the things that and look, this is a first run simulation. There's nothing to draw on from this year, from last year, that's useful. This is all Indiana and Texas are competing for an offensive lineman, and Indiana might be the favorite. It's just different in 2026. Cam Coleman is going to Lubbock right now. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh, crap, the rest of the country is screwed. What Texas gambled on, and this is where we are right now, Chad. What Texas gambled on was that all of that prep work and all of that, I think probably, because nobody had a better visit list than they did this weekend. And then what do you hear today? Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports reporting something that we've already been reporting, but kind of on the national level. And when it happens, it's a little bit like, oh, they're telling us something, aren't they? He reports earlier today that it's growing in realism that Woods just might go back to Florida.
Yeah.
All of these schools are getting the money close enough that all of these guys are like, well, I don't really want to uproot my entire life and move to a new place, a new state, have no friends, got to buy furniture, got to get a vet. Like, it dawns on them that thing that sounded nice.
Yeah.
Maybe not as nice as it sounded now that the other school has matched money and done all of these things, and suddenly things feel different. Texas has learned how hard it is to take good players from good programs from incredibly comfortable situations. They gambled, and so far they have not been right, and that's where we are today. No. They gambled that we'll offer the most amount of money. We're Texas. The money's big. The opportunity's big. The platform's big. They haven't been wrong. It's not like the thing that hasn't happened that they were worried about was like this Michigan offensive lineman would enter the portal, and then Oregon would find out about it, and then A&M would find out about it, and Ohio State would find out about it. And suddenly a guy that you've been working on, right, for weeks. And I think Isaac Brown's a perfect example of this. As far as I know, there's at least been some basic form of communication taking place between Isaac Brown and people who have their tentacles involved at Texas to some degree, because I've known that there was a little something cooking up there for weeks. What they would have been worried about is that kid put his name on the portal. He waited. He didn't make an announcement. The day of the portal comes out, he puts it out himself, not anybody reporting that he's going into the portal. He makes the announcement. He's got a do not disturb sign on the portal. Everybody thinks he's going to Texas. Why would they think that? Well, he's in the portal. There's a do not disturb sign. It looks like it's all Texas.
It felt like the injury. It felt like the injuries Mosley thing from last year, where it was no word and then quick, boom.
It was, except this year that level of sophisticated execution didn't exist. And maybe 7 months later, all three of those guys as agents would have said, nope, we have to at least take a look-see. But that's not what's happened with all of the guys that have created the most disappointment. They've just gone home. It's not that somebody else got in on their goods and took their cornbread. It's that they were about to take someone else's cornbread. Sorry with the cornbread reference. Sorry, I love life. And the person who was about to have their cornbread taken either sweet talked or, did the George McFly thing outside the dance. Like something happened because the homeschools are pulling these guys back in. And here's the thing, Chad, what Texas is dealing with, no one else in the country is trying this. It's not like if you go to the Georgia or the Alabama or the Ohio State or the Oregon or the Texas Tech or nobody else tried to do it exactly the way Texas has tried to do it. And if they pull it off, it's an Ocean's 11 heist. If you don't, and it just looks like you haven't accomplished what you set out to accomplish, you leave yourself in a position where people are saying, is Texas desperate? Will Texas spend anything? Why won't people come to Texas? So yeah, there are three really big recruiting events that the next 24 hours could be settled that can change or completely dictate the narrative. Cam Coleman, he's in Lubbock. What does that mean? I don't know. But Texas feels like they will not lose this thing because of money. So then it just comes down to will Cam Coleman take their money? Does he just not want to be at Texas versus being at some other place? It is a possibility. That's the way they lose. They lose because he just wants to be someplace else because the money Texas is going to have covered. This does not end with somebody cashed a lottery check and paid Cam Coleman with it and Texas cried uncle. I'm told that will not happen. But there's some real insecurity about, we don't know what that means. What does it mean right now? We keep offering the most money and it's not working. So I think there's a little bit of hesitation there. Raleek Brown is on campus, who only because Isaac Brown's a total badass and everybody's been salivating over Jaden Ball for much of the last month and a half. If the portal had just opened up and Raleek Brown had been the very first running back name that pops up on the Texas visit list, everybody would have went, this guy rushed for like 1,200 yards. He had 1,400 all-purpose yards. He's like an upgraded version of Jaden Blue. He was an all Big 12 running back. Sign us up, coach.
Yep.
It's hard to fully appreciate what it might mean to add Raleek Brown to, because here's what I would do. If this were fantasy football, and I know this isn't fantasy football, but I'm going to try to paint the picture for people who have played a lot of fantasy football, which is probably just about everybody that's watching this.
Yeah, I see the $10 super chats. We'll get to them.
If you've got Bijan Robinson on your fantasy team and I don't, I'll pretty much like try to offer you any combo. If Bijan's $1, I'll trade you 3/4, 2 dimes, and a nickel every time. Every time. In every fantasy football trade I've ever made, my only rule is, am I getting the best player? I'd never make a fantasy football trade where I don't think I'm getting the best player. So when we look at what the outgoings have been for Texas this year at running back, and you go, well, they've lost C.J. Baxter. They've lost Trey Wisner. They've lost
Gibson.
Jarrett Gibson.
Stewart.
And Ricky Stewart, right?
Yeah.
And that's it for now. Would I trade all of those guys just for Raleek Brown? And inevitably, the answer is absolutely yes. Because I would tell you that this Texas offense with Raleek Brown on it for 12 games this season is still playing in the playoffs right now. That he is a weapon at the running back position that they didn't have. He brings a type of skill to the table that this offense did not have at the running back position that I think I think they win at least one of those two games at the beginning of the season that they lost. He could have been the difference in the Ohio State game. He absolutely could have been the difference in the Florida game, in the same way that Florida had a guy have a miracle game of sorts. The only time all season he had a big game, but he did it against Texas because there were injury issues and he blew up and went big. I think that we can do the super chats, but I think that if Raleek Brown, I think you would trade all of those guys for Raleek Brown, and they're not going to be done. And what it really is Raleek Brown and Derek Cooper and anybody else that they bring in. So that's a snapshot of what we're talking about. But even if Christian Clark decides that he wants to enter the portal at some point, if you're Texas, if it's if we get Raleek, we may lose Christian. Those are risks in the modern era of college football that you're just going to have to take. It is a little bit like the baseball trade deadline, and you're thinking to yourself, it's World Series or bust, and we think we can get, I don't know, the center fielder that we need. Is he under contract for next year? Nope. Do we think he can help us win the World Series? Yep. Do we want to give up a prospect, like a prize prospect for him? Nope. Are you sure? I'm sure. Nope. Somebody else is about to get him. Okay, give him the prospect. I kind of think that that's a little bit where we are here, that Texas it's Arch's last year. There is an air of desperation that exists. And I think they will run and operate this program from what is in the best interest of the 2026 season. And you know what that means? It means that Bo Barnes, they can't pay him what they paid him when he was a recruit coming in, because the money that they paid him when he was a recruit coming in is money they can't pay for a backup linebacker that they don't think is going to make a big impact this season. That's that. And if you're trying to understand the Bo Barnes situation, because I had somebody ask me earlier today, Chad.
We got super chat. I said we got a super chat asking that question coming up.
Did they cut Bo Barnes? Well, I'll tell you what.
Here, hang on. I'll find it right here. Right there. Tom G threw it in earlier. Let's do that. Why did Bo Barnes leave?
Why was he told? Because Texas needed the dollars. So here's what happened. Jack paid Billy $20 to do a job. And after that job was done for a while, Jack didn't really want to fire Billy, but wasn't really happy with Billy either. But didn't have another Billy lined up, to be completely fair. But he also found out that the going rate for the job, that he was kind of lukewarm about the performance connected to it, that the going rate was $5 instead of $20 for that level of performance at that particular job. So Jack went to Billy and said, Billy, we don't mind keeping you around to do the same job that you've been doing, but we want to pay you $5. We think that that's a better going rate. We think that that's in line with what we can afford in our budget. And that's what we think, that we think that this is what it needs to be. Now, Billy doesn't know whether or not he can get more than $5 elsewhere. He hears $5 is pretty good. But he also knows, I made a hell of a lot more than $5 last year. Last year, I made $20. And you know what? When I was being recruited in the first place to do this job, I had a lot of people offering to pay me more than $5. So if I don't take the $5, I might find somebody who will give me more than $5. And oh, by the way, my feelings are kind of hurt because I was making $20 and now they want me to make $5, and that hurts my feelings because I'm a human being and I'm allowed to have hurt feelings.
Tom, thank you for the super chat as always. I see the other super chats. Let's get
chat. It's complicated, man. Like when we talk about what's happening with these kids, everybody involved, in my opinion, is right to think and feel and choose the decision that they chose. Texas, we talked about this on our show with Bo Barnes. He redshirted. I'm sorry. Do what? They paid that guy like a super blue chip prospect to come in at super blue chip rates. And we talked about this at wide receiver too. If Jamie French and Khalil Lockett can get this kind of smoke, then let's talk about it with Bo Barnes too. He's on a big number because that's what it took to get him as a recruit. But when he came in, he didn't even play 4 games. Did they get their money's worth? Nope. By the way, did we talk about this with Brandon Baker? Yep. Like, this is the new world of college football. Who's making the money? How long can they stay on an We talked about this with Felix Ojo. If that guy needs 3 years to develop before he's a good player, how long will it take for Texas Tech to freak the F out? So this is just really complicated because Texas is within their right to say, hey, we're not made of money. It's not a money tree. We have money, but it's not a money tree. You just can't keep picking from it, and it never ends. It's not Santa's bag. So this is what we think we're going to put you at. And you know what? We think it's fair. You can look around the rest of the country. If you like it, if you're okay with it, hey, man, we want to keep you around. But this is where we think we have to operate. It takes 2 to tango. Bo Barnes didn't want to tango. Bo Barnes just as easily, though, could have talked to his agent and said, what do you think, boss? And the agent could have said, hey, man, I've been putting feelers out for a month. I have absolutely zero guarantees that you're going to get that same amount of money. Or he could say, dude, Florida State is willing to pay you what you made last year at Texas. But you got to, I mean, what do you want to do? And at that point, that's where these decisions have to be made. And Texas no more cut Bo Barnes and Bo Barnes cut Texas. The relationship got a little complicated. And in life, when relationships get complicated, sometimes the best thing that can happen is they break up. And sometimes you're really sad. Sometimes you convince yourself, I shouldn't do this. And you still do it anyway, for whatever reasons lead you to do a breakup in the first place. Ultimately, Bo Barnes and Texas were at a point where they were no longer giving to each other in the relationship what they had previously been giving to each other or expecting of each other. And that's how you end up in these situations. And let this be a warning shot. I feel like I try to talk about this, Chad, throughout the year in the football season. This was the first year, well, outside of Brandon Baker. But these are the first 2 years where I've watched the sport, and when a big-time recruit's not on the field, how many times have you and I had a little conversation where it's like, dude, they're paying this guy $700,000 to not play, and I don't know if he's going to be good next year. So
right. We've talked about that world where the fans know, everybody knows these numbers, and it affects the way you think about the player because of it.
So it's really difficult. And I think that Bo Barnes is maybe the first example of this new world at Texas where if you're a recruit, look, let me get Tyler Atkinson, who's first team linebacker as of today.
Technically, so are you.
Touche. Technically, I guess I've been a UT student. I don't know if he's not. I was once enrolled.
Yep.
I'm in purgatory right now, just forever lingering, unsettled.
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. What was I saying?
You were talking about,
do a super chat.
You were talking about Tyler Atkinson, but please
Tyler Atkinson this time next year
so close.
Had 8 tackles on the season and redshirted and wasn't injured. There's going to be a conversation at this point next year with him. And he needs to they all need to know. It is not show friends, it's show business. And if I go an entire season, this is what we talked about with Brandon Baker. How long can you do it? With what positions can you do it? With how much money can you do it with? How long can you sit with dead money? This season, Texas sat with a bunch of dead money on Bo Barnes, didn't feel like the investment was going to pay off in the long term, let him know about it. He wasn't real cool with that. That's how we got where we're at. But you're going to see more of it. any of these guys that were in this freshman recruiting class that are getting paid a lot of money, if outside of quarterback and maybe left tackle, they don't perform or show what Justice Terry showed at the end of the season, these conversations are going to take place. It's just going to be part of the new world that we live in.
All right, I'm going to try to tell you about a couple of our partners here, and we'll start with Texas Card House, the 6 locations around the state. The great one, of course, at 183 and Anderson Mill. That's where we've done the watch parties. If you're in the Austin area, no matter which location you pick, mention Orange Bloods when you check in. 1 month of free club membership, 2 hours of free poker play, and of course, you got an online option too. It's hijackpoker.com. $20 bonus when you get signed up there. Put it on any device you want. Play that online poker. That is our presenting sponsor each and every day, live at 12 here on OB Live. We got some super chats. Some of them are $10 in nature. One of them looks like this, KSWC, $10. Is Texas a year late to go all in? It seems kids are not wanting to leave their schools like they did last year. Even with more money, they are still not leaving. And Catch, I'll add the idea that I've seen some Texas fans who are concerned that they're being used for more money. I think it all kind of works together here. But what's your take on that take?
Well, I mean, yeah. If a guy threatens to go somewhere because you offered him a bunch of money, and then they don't leave because the other person or the other business or whatever decided to match the money, whether you meant to or not, inadvertent or not, you used or were used for money. So, yeah.
Thank you for that.
They were used. And look, I'm sure they feel used. I doubt they came out of the Isaac Brown situation thinking to themselves, well, hey, you know what, though? Isaac got paid. And isn't that really all that matters? I doubt that was what they said. I doubt whoever handled those phone calls was like, you know what? At the end, I didn't even care if Isaac picked us. I just wanted him and his family to be happy. They're such good people. They probably shouldn't have come here anyway. That's not what they were saying. They were bemoaning the wasted time. I promise you.
All right, we had another tenor from Pete Miller. Portal is Wild West. Quarterback from Washington transferred to school after signing a contract. Headed to litigation. It's ridiculous. When do you expect regulations to come in? Next couple of years? Getting ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean,
regulations.
You got to make these guys employees before real regulations come in. And I really don't know how close we are to that, but these schools still act like making these kids employees is going to be over their dead body. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Hey.
I don't know. I on some level, these schools are trying to avoid the highest paid person in every state being some college athlete.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting point. We used to always talk about the coach, but you don't want it to be the linebacker. That's going to look very, very different. But maybe here's a little progress. We've talked about it. At least some programs are starting to use the word salary cap. Now, there's not one, but at least they're using that phrase because that's a phrase that goes along with a program and a setup that would speak to this. It would speak to like organization. That's when you'd get to
Ask Texas Tech what they think about a salary cap.
Exactly. Like I've said on other shows, when they say salary cap, what they're saying is other teams are cheating their ass off. That's what they're saying.
But there's not even really cheating. Like the system to keep all this in place, they told us was in place.
Oh yeah, but come on.
Chad DeLotte.
Right. For the yes. We can't. I mean, nobody can even agree on whatever that is. Much less any other.
Every deal that comes in, Chad, they'll reject it.
Like serious detail. There's none of that. There's absolutely none of that. There was one other $10 super chat I wanted to get to. We got some smaller ones too. We'll get them. How much of this is agent driven? The young players are needing to get on the field to get a payday sooner. Feels like that's the advice that they are getting.
I mean, every kid is going to be different, Jason. The kids at Texas are going to be told different things than the kids at Baylor. And the motivations from program to program are going to be different in terms of, look, what have I said in the last year that I actually want to write more about, and I actually haven't. I haven't posted it as a content piece. The days of Texas recruiting your run-of-the-mill 4-star prospect at any position needs to be over, because that player costs enough money that it costs, but they're not good enough to play right away at a school like Texas. So Texas gets nothing for paying them to come sit on their bench. And then that kid gets impatient because he doesn't want to sit around and wait 2 or 3 years, which is how long it's going to take. So he goes into the portal before he ever gets good. So if you're the school that's at that level, you're just paying guys millions of dollars combined, not any one player, but all of these 4 stars that are taking time to cook in the oven. And Texas is like, that's dead money. We can't do that. So we've reached this point where now look, you wouldn't go to Baylor and say, Baylor, don't take any 4 stars, because Baylor doesn't have their talent level set up as high as an Ohio State or a Georgia or a Texas or an Alabama or an Oregon, where they would be able, a regular 4-star who sits in purgatory at Texas is the best prospect in the Baylor program. What's going to have to happen in recruiting, Jason, is a complete recalibration of what the middle class is in college football and in college athletics, right? It used to be that the 3-star was the lifeblood of all of the non-big boy programs. They had to go shop at Dollar Tree while the big boys went to Neiman Marcus. The problem with shopping at Neiman Marcus is like you have to have 85 clothing outfits for 7 days of the week. And maybe you don't need to spend on 50 of those outfits. Maybe you don't need to spend Saks prices. And so Texas is like, are we going to, in a couple of years from now, have a bunch of clothes on the rack that we never wore that still have the tags that we paid all this money for that we can't now get anything back on? Texas is just in this, they all have to learn. Chad, I just don't think there's enough appreciation for this. Is the first time we've done this. Mm-hmm. I don't know that the person, it's like when a person wins the lottery, it's like, congratulations. Like, well, they didn't do it. Like, you won, right? But you didn't do anything. You guessed the right numbers. You got lucky. I feel like there may be some, I wonder how good is Indiana? Like, do they have the secret sauce?
Right. Well, like
or
that,
did they stumble upon the secret sauce, don't even know what it is, and everybody will try to copy the secret sauce, and 5 years from now, we still won't know what the secret sauce is. There will just be this one little window where Indiana had it, and they never could quite figure out how they had it, and then they forever chase it. I don't know.
Because if you look at the names of guys Texas wants, it's not like one team's getting them all. It's not like they're all just headed somewhere else immediately. Like, is there a team right now you'd think of as, now that's how you do this new portal? Is there one? Is there one that you think's gotten off to a really nice start and you're like, okay, this could really work?
I mean, you would look at Indiana and a Texas Tech and say that they've done, I think, the best jobs early on in the portal, but their needs are completely different than Texas, and in the sense that Indiana's roster is nothing like Texas, and Texas Tech has only just now started to build the foundation pieces. They had 3 national top 100 players consensus in their recruiting class. Texas sneezes 3 top 100 recruits in their recruiting class. They've got 40 of those guys on campus that by somebody was a national top 100 recruit. More like 30. Sorry, I OCD myself by saying a number that in my head I was like, you can't let that sit. That's not true. Texas hasn't lost. Who is Texas trying to beat right now? Georgia and Ohio State. Well, those two schools haven't beaten Texas out for anybody. They're not doing a better job in the portal than Texas. In fact, you'd probably look at Georgia and say their inability to use the portal at all in a high-functioning way is the thing that has kept them from having success in the playoffs in each of the last 2 years. 10% of their roster was acquired through the portal. Almost of their starters, 10% of their starts this year came from the portal. 70% of Indiana's came from the portal. In the end, I think Indiana's going to win the national championship, and I think we're going to fairly say that they were the best team in college football this year. It's crazy. We may say it puzzled every time we say it with a straight face for the rest of our lives, but it may legitimately be the most honest thing that we end up saying at the end of this college football season was that, gosh, Indiana was really good. They're better than everybody. How do we know? Well, they beat Oregon twice, and they beat Ohio State, and they beat everybody that they put in front of them. That's how we knew.
Yeah. All right, I got some other super chats here, some lower numbers, but still important super chats. We will get to those after I tell you about a couple of our partners. Let's talk about drinking and breathing. How about that? Breathing first. Sinus and snoring specialists. Because if you can't breathe, you can't drink. Right? Make sure you're breathing well, sleeping well. Make sure you're not snoring anymore. This is the place that can do it. You're into 2026. Make it a promise to yourself that by the end of this year, you'll get all that crap figured out. You know what I'm talking about. Your situation, the allergy, the sinus, the whatever it is. You're keeping everybody up, yourself up, all that stuff. And maybe you try to CPAP and it didn't work. Or maybe you never really committed to it. Like my wife didn't commit to it the first time. Second time, she fell in love with it, and now she can't sleep without it. Your path's going to be different. Figure out your situation. At Sinus and Snoring Specialists, they've got surgical and non-surgical options that can help you out. 601-0303 or go to sinussnoringent.com. So once you get to that point and you get to breathing well and you get to feeling good, then go get you a drink at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Like that right there. Mason jars, martini glasses. They've got it all out there. There's a couple with the pineapple vibe. Speaking of my wife, one of her favorites is on the left. If you're like my wife and me and thousands of others, and you love the cherry limeade at Sonic, oh my God, go have it at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room, because the adult version is even better than the Sonic version, in my opinion. They are open Wednesdays through Sundays. Check them out. Deep Eddy Vodka. Get some of that Get some of the barbecue too. The Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. All right.
Bad news, Chad, for Texas.
What just happened?
Pete Nakos of On3 is reporting that Florida edge Jaden Woods has decided that he is going to withdraw his name from the transfer portal and return to Florida.
Wow. Okay. Jaden Woods. And, okay, so he withdraws his name. Did he ever come to town?
Oh, yeah.
Woods was part of that first group, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he would have come in that same group that contained Cam Coleman and some of the other guys.
Yeah, can you give me a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Jaden,
yes, he was in town. He actually was one of the guys that actually did enter the portal, took a visit to Texas, and now later in the week has decided to stay at Florida.
All right, so Jaden Woods, the edge, is going to stay at Florida. We will get to those super chats coming right up. Let's thank another one of our partners while Ketch is dealing with that and these late breaking news as it is happening right now. One more partner to hit, and that is AV Consultations. Check out all this cool stuff they can do for you in 2026.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been providing custom electronic systems for Central Texas for more than 36 years. And
Old man, I think they all know who you are and what your company does. This is Camilla McKay. The old man believes in big fun and big ideas. He can make dreams come true, so why not dream big? I've been up in Boston, but I know the old man and all his friends and fellow radio heads have been spreading the holiday spirit here in Texas. Why should we stop there? Keep spreading the good feelings all over. Audiovisual Consultations carries all major brands of television televisions, and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And you don't have to leave your house. Just like Santa, they deliver the gifts to you.
Yeah, I like that, kid. Throw a party, hang out with your friends, catch a concert.
That's all fun and good, but can we get back to the business? You can give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit our website at avconsultations.com for some cool electronics.
Oh, now you're forgetting something.
And as always, hug your kids. We only pretend to be annoyed. Watch some games with your friends and make love to whoever the hell you want.
We'll get to these super chats. I just want to throw this up real quick. South KMX said another one bites the dust in terms of Jaden Woods. But Catch, I can make an argument that like it's not what Texas fans want, but it's also not one of those positions. It's not one of the positions they were promised. So I sense that a Texas fan would see that and not necessarily flip out because it's not O-line and it's not an O-line wide receiver or running back kind of story. So as you're processing it, how big a deal is that Woods is going to stay at Florida? For how big for Texas?
Well, I think it goes back. It's not a horrible. It is a greedy go. It was a greedy attempt.
Okay.
Because I don't think edge is a position that, of all the positions in the program, it's not. It's down the list of. It's an immediate need. But you turn around and say, well, you know what they never said at Florida State? That they had too many badass edge rushers. So it's from the line of thinking of you just can't have enough guys. Because when they first popped up, there were a lot of people who were like, how do you even play Jaden Woods and Colin Simmons on the field together? And it was like,
right. They'll figure that out. Yeah, sure.
Trust me, like defensive coaches dream their entire lives of trying to figure that exact thing out. Yeah. But this was a guy that Texas targeted behind the scenes. This was a guy, I've had people say, it can't be great preparation if you don't get the guy in the end. And I think you're confusing preparation with execution, because Texas is the only school that I'm aware of that actually got him on campus for an official visit. So he went into the portal. Texas was ready. They had a big number. They seized the moment. They got him on campus. The kid indicated, I'm probably coming to Texas. And then he went home. And then Florida said, please meet with the coach. Please meet with the coach. Meet with the new coach and meet with our people. And then the money started evening out, or evened out completely, or evened up enough that it was close to being even. And then they gave him the guilt trip. And then having the first official visit maybe didn't matter as much as having the last face-to-face visit, because Texas keeps not getting the last face-to-face visit. The home schools are, and they're over so far in these situations. And this was a case of, again, though, Chad, of Texas worked really hard to get a badass talent because they were seizing a market opportunity. Nobody else in the country better prepared themselves for the reality of Jaden Woods entering the portal. That should be worth something, but it is not. And I wrote in my article earlier today, I was like, in a way, this is the Texas that I've always wanted to exist. Make guys get into the portal. Whisper to their agents, hey, I don't know what you're making right now, but we'll pay you 3 times as much, right? Bully, be the bully. Use your wallet to bully people. Texas has been doing that. And then in the end, people aren't taking their money. I don't exactly know what the exact lesson from all of this will be, but I promise you Texas will not repeat this exact strategy ever again. They're taking lumps on the chin. They're getting knots on their head. They're not getting the players that they thought. They're letting players that they otherwise could have recruited that they ignored because they were focusing on these other players go right on by. They will learn some lessons from this, but I tell you what, if I'd said 2 weeks ago, hey, you know what Texas has cooking behind the scenes? They're the only one. They got the lead on Isaac Brown, and he's probably going to enter the portal. No, probably. He is going to enter the portal with a do not disturb sign. Texas. Jaden Woods, going to kind of do the same thing. Texas is going to get the first visit. Oh, yeah, no, I know. The first visit, incredibly important. Cam Coleman? What do you mean, Cam Coleman? Oh, you're not going to believe this. But Cam Coleman is not only going to take a visit to Austin, first visit, baby. If I'd laid out like all of these things 2 weeks ago,
sounds good.
with
Yeah.
no results laid out at all, and I had said, you can either take that or just wait. And as soon as guys start popping into the portal, nobody would say, don't do what Texas did. Everybody would say, I kind of like the thing that Texas did. The problem is robbing Vegas sounds really cool until the heist stops working. If a fly in the ointment pops up and suddenly they're on to you, or, oh, I didn't think there was going to be security at that spot at 2:00 in the morning. Who knew that the guy ordered Grubhub and was waiting on a pizza in the back? These things happen. And you know what they say was about plans, best laid plans, mice and best laid plans.
Mm-hmm. The best laid plans of mice and men.
Thank you. Sorry.
Or fail to plan to fail. One of the
No, I think you got it right the first time.
First time, the mice and men thing. Okay, yeah. Good book of mice and men.
No, I know. And I said it right the other day when I said it the first time, but I've spoken too many words today, Chad. And now it's like, you know what they say about mice and the plans they make, they defeat men.
The chat is wondering what you mean by too many words. Let's get Oscar's 999 in here. We don't even know if Tech and Indiana are killing it. We're assuming the names they're signing are going to be upgrades. No one in this chat knows. Are y'all just going to assume Hoover is an upgrade to Mendoza? Oh, good Lord, no. No.
Oscar, who are you talking to?
No. Who's assuming that? We're talking about the totality. The totality of what Indiana and what Texas Tech
Oscar, nobody would even argue with you. Like, Tech and Indiana are not landing. They took an opposite strategy to Texas. Their strategy is working better for them right now than Texas's strategy is working for Texas. That's how they're killing it. But I don't know that you would look at the Indiana and Tech commitment list and say, oh, yeah, if Texas only had those guys, they'd win a national championship. It's not really the conversation that's taking place. And I don't know that it's fair to Texas. We're using like wealthy people problems to judge Texas.
Well,
like, actually, they got uppity and decided they didn't want to recruit from the same pool of players as everybody else. And then it's not working. Whereas Texas Tech and I think Indiana have done this a little more conventionally. Yeah. They've also been on it. They got a lot of first visits. They also don't have as much money spent on their roster, especially Tech. Tech's rosters, and plus Tech loses a lot of money that was on the roster this year, but that were on one-year deals and will now go to the NFL, a guy like David Bailey. So they have a lot of money to spend. They've got a lot of holes to fill because so much was filled in the Tech will be in a position where every year they really do have to sign 30 or 40 guys out of the portal. And so they're every year going to have 15 before Texas has 5 every year. And this year, obviously no different, the only people on some level that can probably evaluate just how well Texas Tech is doing are people who cover Texas Tech. They'll know the roster. They'll know what was truly available. They'll know you know what I mean? Like we're at it's not easy to be Charles Jefferson and fly in on game days on Friday and be like, oh yeah, no, I know everything that's happening just based on looking at the depth chart. It's a little more complicated than that. It would take a guy like Chris Level to say, did Texas Tech win the portal the way they needed to? I think ultimately that's the question that Texas has to answer yes at the end. I don't care what the national ranking is. I don't care how many players ultimately they sign, whether it's 45 or 25. At the end of the day, Texas and Texas fans and everybody that kind of watches and follows this program will have to answer the question. Did they accomplish all of the goals that they needed to accomplish And if the answer is yes, then we'll go through all the details then. If the answer is no, we can still go through all of the details, but the bottom line will be the bottom line. And I don't think, what did I say at the top of the show, Oscar? We're a quarter of the way through the Kentucky Derby. It's a little too early to start doing that thing that they said in Reservoir Dogs that we shouldn't do just yet.
Oscar, thank you for that. This one kind of ties in. I want to get your reaction to this catch. This one right here. Justin says for $5, last offseason we didn't swing. This year it seems like we are constantly swinging and missing. Can't tell which is worse. Feels like Jerry Jones all in. Is that how you would size it up from last year's portal to this year's portal? The no swing versus swinging at everything.
I don't think Texas is swinging at everything. I mean, in reality, who are the players that have actually entered the portal that haven't gone back to their home schools that they've lost? I mean, they just all have gone, but most of them haven't even, in the case of the worst thing that's kind of happened is they keep getting guys that are pulling their names out of the portal. That is not happening to anybody else in America right now.
Right.
Guys have either said we're going to get into the portal and then they just change their mind, or they've literally entered the portal.
Yeah.
I guess I had 3 cases of 3 of the best prospects in the portal. Considering Texas, there's no other common denominator. It's not Texas and Ohio State and then a smattering of other schools. It's just Texas and then the home schools. With Isaac Brown at Louisville, entered the portal, had a do not disturb sign, went back to Louisville. Crazy. You look at the situation with the Michigan offensive lineman, enters the portal, only looks at Texas, gets talked back into going to Michigan. Jaden Woods is one of the top 5 prospects in the portal. I have him ranked, I think, 3rd or 4th. He visits Texas. Texas gets the only visit. And he's going back to Florida. Again, Texas's preparation for this moment in terms of they put the tees up, they put the pins up on the bowling lane better than anybody. They haven't knocked them down. Set them up perfectly. Haven't been able to knock them down when they thought they would. Maybe there's no bumpers there's no bumper rails. I don't know.
Oh, that's not the analogy you want to be making. Come on now. The bumper rails? Really? Not the bumper rails.
They rolled some gutters, Chad.
You can't have Texas up there with the little dinosaur thing that you set the ball on and roll it down. No, you can't have that.
My son loves that, by the way, because little boys love to just drop a ball and watch it roll down the thing.
Dude, if I'd had that combo when I was a kid, if I could have had either the inflatable things that they put in the gutters or the automatic ones, the robotic ones that pop up, and give me the assist, the little ramp. I didn't have the ramp. I was out there at 3 years old trying to carry a bowling ball.
Hendricks is like, it's physics, right? He's lining it up. He might as well have like a straight ruler out there.
Dude, I'd have brought a T-square with me. It would have been awesome. It would have been fantastic. All right, let's see here. There are some other $5 super chats. How about this one from Oscar? $4.99. If Michael Terry is a new running back and Clark stays, then I'll feel better. But why would Texas think Clark doesn't help? Who else do they have? Who else they got?
Well, Oscar, again, I'm not telling you not to send super chats, but you keep sending super chats with statements that nobody is making. You just said, but why would Texas think Clark doesn't help? That is not what Texas thinks.
No.
This is not as simple as they just decided they didn't want the guy anymore and they told him to hit the bricks. Or a matter of like. This is a matter of, from their perspective, Texas has got a pool of money that they'll want to dedicate to the running back room. They'll have specific roles that they'll want. I think they very much would want Christian Clark to be a part of the program. I think they would love for him to come and compete for the job. But if they thought Christian Clark was all that in a bag of chips, they'd have been playing him earlier in the season. Part of what happened in the bowl game was the first time he's done that. Now, I think he feels like his platform, or maybe somebody behind the scenes has told him, coming out of that performance, we will do this for you. And that's been conveyed to his agent. There is a miscommunication and a disagreement on what the number is that he'll stay in town for. And if Texas doesn't want to pay more for whatever their reasons are, and he doesn't want to stay around for what they want to pay for, it's not as simple as like, well, Texas didn't think he could help. The right way to say that is there are concerns that Texas doesn't think that Clark can help them at the levels that the pay he's requesting would dictate that they need to receive. And if that's the case, what are we upset? I don't even know that you are upset, Oscar, but what would somebody be upset with at that point? That they're just not by any means necessary spending all of the money to keep your favorite players, not because they're going to be used or important, but because you've got confirmation bias involved because they're yours.
Yeah. And here,
I'm a fan too. I don't like it when all my favorite players, for whatever reason, have to go someplace else. But Texas, they're going to make some mistakes. Everybody's going to make some mistakes. This is the first year that these rules and these dynamics have been in place. Texas has made some mistakes. They will learn from these mistakes, but it's just not as cut and dry as the way a lot of you are framing these positions.
I don't know where this one ends, but I love the way it starts. Matthew 999. I can tell none of you in the comments have landed a hot chick. It is a numbers game. You're going to get 90% no's, but that 10% yes rate is worth it. Texas will get that 10% soon, and it will be quality. Matthew bringing the trust on a Wednesday.
Well, look, Texas may still get Cam Coleman.
Right.
Cam Coleman's not going back to Auburn.
That's the hottest chick in this portal right now.
And by the way, there had been some concerns about Alabama, but Alabama losing Ty Simpson, who declared for the NFL draft today, and then either breaking in your boy, Keelan Russell, who I think that's what they'll do. They've got a lot invested in him, or they'll have to go into the portal. But Cam Coleman probably would make a decision before Alabama would secure a quarterback, and I don't think they're going to do that to Keelan Russell. And I just have a hard time believing that Cam Coleman is going to entrust his final season of eligibility in college football and his contract year on a quarterback that just hasn't completed many passes, no matter how talented he is.
Did I read correctly that Cam Coleman fit in a visit to Tuscaloosa yesterday?
No, there had been conversations on Alabama websites that he was going to sneak in a visit. He may still visit Tuscaloosa, but he did not do that yesterday. Again, there was scuttlebutt that it had occurred, but multiple Alabama reporters confirmed around 6 p.m. that just hadn't happened, wasn't expected to happen. And I think he got into Lubbock today a little bit after noon.
Gotcha. Okay. Another super chat from our guy Barb's 10, $5. Clark reading the room. This is again if Clark is considering going. Striking while the NIL iron is hot. Can't overpay after one game. Why is the chat on fire? Everyone is trying to get paid. Get used to it. I think the other notion catch for me on a guy like Christian Clark, I'll just lay it out. In my mind, he gets whatever he got last year if he comes back in 26. But what we don't always factor in is this may not be Texas asking somebody to take a pay cut. It may be Texas refusing a raise.
Yeah, I mean, Texas's general rule of thumb in these situations is when you get to be a starter, you'll start to get paid. Now, the anomalies to that are the big-time recruits that they have to pay to get in. But if you're not a super blue chip, then what they expect of you, for instance, I'm pretty sure Parker Livingston was one of the lower-paid wide receivers on the roster. It stands to reason he wasn't a super blue chip. He had proven nothing on the field. He redshirted as a true freshman. He wasn't making anything. And then once he became a starter, traditionally, and this, you can go all the way back to the Jahdae Barrons of the world. It's like, hey, man, you want to be paid like an All-American, earn All-America honors, we'll pay you like an All-American. If you want to get paid like a starter, we'll pay you like a starter. I think where they're going to run into some problems is that there are going to be guys that are like, pay me like a starter. And they're going to say, but we don't even know if we don't know if you're a starter. We don't think you're going to be a starter. Well, I still want to be paid I plan on being a starter. Okay, you may plan on being something, but that is not the same thing as you are something. Planning to be something and you being something, we pay on the what are you now? Or in special cases, we do pay for what we think you will be, but you're not one of those special cases. You fall into the category of we're going to pay you what we think you're worth now. And Christian Clark may be striking while the iron is hot. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with anybody that he would be represented by. And some of this might also be Christian Clark is like just trying to use whatever leverage he has. I hear you're going after Isaac Brown. I hear you're going after Jaden Ball. Now you're going after Raleek Brown. Why do you want to keep me? Like, can you give me any assurances? There are these conversations that take place. Sometimes people say, we don't make promises for starting jobs. Okay, well, can you promise me that I'm not fighting with 4 guys first? Who am I fighting for here? What are you doing, coach?
Yeah.
Raleek Brown. Who else? Right? Well, you're going to sign somebody else? So it's going to be Raleek Brown, Derek Cooper, me, and somebody else. I might be 4th. That's what you can promise me, that I might be 4th. And I can't get any more money. Yeah. You'll have people in the chat who are like, you cut the kid. Or you'll have people in the chat who will say, you did wrong by the kid. It's like, man, it's like when I called Shaka Smart damn good. Everybody in this world's got a different view of what treating somebody right or doing the right thing is, or what the right move is. Everybody's definition is different. And I just think it's really hard for us to do that with either sides of this. We don't, as much as I know about all of this, I don't come close to knowing all of it. I can know some numbers and I can know what requests were. And I might even hear some things that were said in meetings, but I don't know everything. And they do. And they're making decisions like, who knows? It might be every once in a while, one of these kids might just be turds. And they might be looking around going, you know what? I cannot wait until this season is over with, because this jackass is going to come in and ask us for a raise, and we'll tell him no, and we can get his little troublemaking ass out of the school and out of our program. Like, I don't know. We might look at that and go, man, player A, I thought that guy was going to be good. We might not know. He hasn't been to school in 3 months. They're all kind of, and look, how realistic is that's a problem? I mean, it might happen to one guy a semester. You might have one guy in a program in a semester that just doesn't go to class, but it happens. You know what else happens? About 15 other things that isolated by themselves are one-offs. There's no other situation. Christian Clark's situation is not like anybody else's in the entire program. How can you judge Christian Clark? There's nobody else in the program that was the MVP of the game outside of Arch, who was a star, who has them recruiting players at his position to take his job. Like, man, if Christian Clark wants to get pissed, I don't think he's right to, but dude, if I was 19 years old, I might feel a certain kind of way. All you do is tell me to get 100 yards in a game, and then to come talk to you, I finally get 100 yards in a game, and you guys are going after every running back in the country.
Yep. All right. Speaking of 15, we got about 15 minutes left. Let's see if we can clean up these super chats. That just came in. Thank you, Hitman. $9.99. I read Elko is headed to USC as DC because California has the highest overall population adjusted restaurant density. Wow. You paid $9.99 for this. Also,
hey, Chad, can you run
entered
through some of these? I have got to step out for a second.
All right, fair enough. Also read Reveille entered here. Let me do this. All right, yeah, we'll do that. Also read Reveille entered the portal and is negotiating with Taco Bell. Well done, Hitman. Look at that. You threw your idea in right as Catch needed to go deal with something, and then I had to deal with the double Aggie joke super chat. That's well played. Well done. Well done. All right. This is another one here. And when Catch comes back in, I'll get him to address it. This is from Rome, $4.99. What's the source for the Woods to Florida news? Nakos, he didn't say the deal is done. The latest article says the decision is coming this afternoon. Maybe we can get a clarification on that. Wait a minute. Is that it? Catch? Yeah, we go.
He said it's expected.
Said he's okay.
I mean, I can read it to you. The current expectation, and that's different than what. Here was the original report.
Okay.
It happened about. He wrote Florida has been actively recruiting to bring edge Jaden Woods back to Gainesville. John Summerall traveled to Kansas on Tuesday to meet in person with Woods. Accompanying Summerall on the trip was defensive coordinator Brad White and outside linebackers coach Bam Hardman. Sources have told On3 from the Texas side that it's unclear which direction it is leaning. Woods is expected to make a decision later this afternoon. Literally like 5 minutes later, Nakos reports, update. The current expectation is that Jaden Woods will return to Florida and withdraw from the transfer portal.
There you go. All right, Rome. There's hopefully that clarifies everything. We'll clean up some of these super chats here. $4.99 from Brady. I get not wanting to overpay players, but if you can't replace them, what's the point of not overpaying?
Well, the key is to make sure you replace them.
Yeah, that is.
And I would say we're a quarter of the way through the race, fellas. They haven't not been replaced yet.
Yep. Right in the second third of it, like we talked about. Wise guy, $2. Is the Michael Terry experiment at wide receiver over? Is he moving to running back?
He's moved to running back. What happens from there, who knows? He feels like a man without a position. And I hate to say it, but the drawback was that he was a jack of all trades and not a master of any. Tweener running back, tweener wide receiver. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah. All right. And we'll finish up with these smallies. This one is Sark failed this team. Bo Barnes is gone. Also, there was just this way at the beginning of the show. Also, Parker can go and get the hell on from Big Bird, but finally catch this 199. Tell the truth. We're cooked. Just say it.
I mean, like, it's in the realm of possibilities. But what did I just say? We really need to see how this all shakes out. Because I think one of the other things that we just don't know is that Texas, there are more people that we don't have the names to. This Wisconsin offensive line, Jake Brunner, enters the portal right after the kid from Michigan withdraws his name from the portal. And we know that that's an Indiana-Texas battle at this point. And Texas is probably going to have a hard time winning that because the offensive line coach at Indiana recruited him to Wisconsin and was his offensive line coach in 2022. But here we are again. It's kind of like Texas, and there's not a consistent theme of like Texas, although this isn't Texas versus the homeschool. This is still Texas versus, if not the homeschool, the adjacent homeschool who has your daddy. Because again, the offensive line coach there will be somebody that he's worked with, has had experience with. That is an advantage that the Texas can't replicate.
Yep, no doubt. All right, that cleans up the super chats. Anything else, Catch, before we close up?
No, man, it's been an hour and a half, and now I got to get back and catch up on all the stuff I've missed. Apparently, got people trying to trick me into Christian Clark going someplace. So, like, I got to catch up.
Come on, people. I'll reach out to Brian Jones of CBS Sports and see if he wants to jump in tomorrow. What are the chances he actually takes my text? You think we can get Brian? Talk a little.
I think we'll get Brian tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get Brian on to talk some semifinals tomorrow. Either way, we'll be here live at 12 with the very latest portal news. Remember that QR code up in the upper left, way over there, and catch a side. Click on that, get to orangebloods.com and get signed up immediately. Thank you for supporting us here at Orange Bloods Live. Take care.